says webinar is now streaming live on YouTube, so looks like she got
Yeah,
it.
Ooh,
Are we on
I
YouTube?
got it.
Yeah, we're famous.
I can do two things. You can do two things at once. I could not possibly do that. If I tried to do that, I would cancel this.
Okay, you guys are all set. You can call the meeting to order.
All right. All right.
It's all you, boss.
Quorum being present, this meeting of the Annapolis Historic Preservation Commission shall come to order. This commission operates pursuant to the land use article of the annotated code of the state of Maryland. Local authority for the commission is derived from municipal code of the city of Annapolis, chapter 2156, etc. Requirements for serving on the commission are detailed in chapter 21, section 8.06. I'd like to do the roll call. I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but I'd like to say Bill Williams first. Please call the roll. What is your name?
Bill Williams
And
Will Scott,
Aye.
Bobby Collins,
Here,
Zeno, excuse me.
no, I'm sorry, I did that wrong. I'll go back. Bill, introduce yourself.
Who be me?
Tell
Bill
us
Williams,
lifelong resident of Annapolis and practicing architect.
okay. Bill Williams, lifelong architect in Annapolis, currently working with Alt Breeding Schwartz, graduate of Clemson University. Yeah.
Pat Zeno.
Pat Zeno, I'm a longtime resident in the historic district. I have a degree in history. That's it.
Bobby Collins.
Bobby Collins, resident of West Annapolis, graduated George Washington University.
Will Scott.
Will Scott, resident of Ward 5 since 1979. Doctorate in the history of American art and 30 years on the Planning Commission, 2 years on the HBC.
I'm Tim Leahy, chair, degree in architecture from the University of Virginia with experience in construction management. Staff, Roberta, would you introduce yourself?
I am Roberta Lehner, Chief of Historic Preservation. I'm a graduate of the University of Mary Washington, and much of my career was at Colonial Williamsburg, managing the historic properties there, and also the Virginia State Historic Preservation Office.
Our recorder is Ms. Tammy Hook, who is so efficient in keeping us in line and making sure we cross our I's and dot our T's, or the other way around. Now, right now, I cannot see the audience necessarily. So, Hillary, I have to swear in the applicants. Hillary, are you there?
Okay, there.
Sorry, hold on.
Now I see John and Jay.
Can I say something to Roberta?
Yes,
When you turned on that light behind you, it has
I
thrown,
don't come too dark.
yeah, and it's because the light meter in the little tiny camera that's in your computer is giving too much weight to that light in the back.
Thanks, I'll turn it off.
TV Hook is Jay Schwartz.
Now what happens if I turn on one behind it?
There you go.
Okay, I turned on one behind the computer.
Yeah,
There's
Thank you.
Jay.
She'll do it. That's
All right.
You're
So Jay, are your property owners with you or on the call?
I see them on the screen. I see the name on the screen.
Susanna Jones, whatever. We are authorized to require an oath. If you intend to testify, please rise. Sorry. Raise your right hand. Do you affirm, under the penalties of perjury, that the testimony given and the statements you shall make are true to the best of your information and knowledge? Please respond by saying, I do.
I do.
And I say I do as well.
Suzanne Jones and Rob Bagman.
All right, thank you all. Okay, next on the agenda is announcements.
Yes, I would like to make a couple of announcements. And forgive me if I'm doing a little bit of reading. Considered essential services, our staff has been adjusting to the new regulations and technologies, just as you see right here, and also workspace and online project review and public meeting obligations for working at home during the pandemic. I just wanted to let everyone know I am working primarily at home and coming to the office once a week. Our administrative assistant Sherry is working at home 2 days a week. John Tower, our assistant chief of historic preservation, prefers to be in the office and also to make site visits. So he likes to be out and about and is doing a great job of practicing very strict social distancing guidelines. And the emails, they occupy much of our time since the offices are closed to the public, and the emails have essentially doubled. I'd also like to give you a couple of statistics from a monthly report that I give to planning and zoning, and this might be good to keep doing in the future. In the month of March, and remember this is when we started to be somewhat locked down, we approved in the office administratively 14 applications for an estimated value, and I'll round this, of $328,000. During also in the month of March, we approved 2 public hearing applications for an estimated value of $347,000. So that's 2 at $347,000, 14 at $328,000. So and we looked at February as well, and even with a pandemic, those figures are similar to February. So we are still pretty much just as busy. The only other thing I wanted to mention was that the fun part, really, the most fun when we are studying historic buildings. So with my project with John Tower and Michael Dowling to inventory the architectural artifact collection at Maynard Burgess House is continuing, and most of you probably saw that highlighted in the March 18th edition of the Capital Gazette. And we just consider this extremely important because a lot of these architectural pieces have been laying around the house for years. And we're figuring out where they went in the house and how they relate to the folks in the house. And it just is really fun to match things up that you didn't know could possibly match to a doorway or a door or a piece of trim. And we are cataloging all of this, which is extremely important as one of the most significant African-American houses in the city, showcasing the history of just 2 families over close to 150 years. Thanks.
Thank you for all the, it's, again, maybe a silver lining that you have a little bit of time to document that stuff. All right.
Right.
Any other announcements from commissioners? Okay. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes from 2:27 and 3:10. Any comments?
No.
Changes?
No,
I'll ask for an approval of a motion to approve.
Move that we approve
2:27.
the minutes from February 27th and March 10th of this year, 2020.
Second.
second,
Opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you. So approved. Okay. The next on the agenda is the consent docket. I'll read it briefly. Actually, welcome to the owners. I can see them there. The consent docket is designed to expedite applications which have complied with all of the requirements of the commission, and they must receive recommendation with minor conditions from all the city staff and technical advisors. Also, there needs to be no public opposition to the application. If the application is approved on consent docket, the application does not need to go to any further testimony. The following application is eligible for the consent docket. That would be 206 Prince George Street. So that's the only application we have on the docket tonight. I need to ask, is there anyone who opposes the application for 206 Prince George Street?
I have a question.
Is there a question?
Mr.
I will
Williams,
come to you. Then we'll come to you. Do you agree with the conditions?
we do don't agree with the conditions, but my question is more of an administrative question. Mr. Williams is in my office. Does he need to recuse himself?
Yes, he did. Bill did recuse himself. He's on mute right now.
I didn't want to.
He officially
screw it up. Okay, thank you.
No, he recused him. He did recuse himself formally. I don't know how you do this in this technology world. Will he? I think maybe just by muting him, he recused himself. But no, he formally informed us that he recused himself. Sure. So the next step is there were a few conditions in the staff report that we need to ask you as the applicant to agree to. Do you agree to the conditions in the staff report?
Yes, we can agree to this. We think there's
Okay.
some field monitoring necessary.
The architectural or the archaeological field monitoring?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So I'll take a motion. This would go to you, Bobby.
I move that we conditionally approve the application for 206 Prince George Street. I'm going to read off first the guidelines that it complies with, and then I will read off the conditions that were added to the application. I move that we conditionally approve the application for 206 Prince George Street because it is consistent with guidelines B1, B2, B3, B4, B6, B8, B10, D1, Secretary of the Interior Standards 9 and 10, D2, D3, D4, D5, D6, D7, D9, D10, D10A, D12, D13, D14, D15, D16, D18, D20, D28A and B, D32 and E1 with the following conditions. The applicant shall submit specifications for any repointing of original brickwork and also arrange for a site visit as work commences to ensure the technique will match the color, texture, and tooling of the original mortar. The applicant shall use simulated divided light wood windows with spacer bars for new work and replicate exactly any true divided light wood windows approved for replacement in the original brick main house and L. The applicant shall use original wood rail and newel in adapting the side stair with cable. The applicant shall coordinate archaeological monitoring with the city's consulting archaeologist for any new excavations. And the applicant shall submit an HPC revision form for staff review and approval of all exterior changes not specifically approved with this application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes. Well, thank you very much for that. And before we came on tonight, we were all talking about this application, and both on the part of the applicant, this is one of the most amazingly accurate and specific applications we've ever seen. So we applaud you for all of the detail for every single part of the building, which is an important building, and we respect you very much for that. So thank you. And we also publicly have to say to staff, thank you so much for also working with the applicant and following up on all of your details. So go forth and improve this building and make it great for another 100 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And,
yeah. Excellent.
if I may say, I would just like to thank Mr. Schwartz for in the process of such a long application that, as you could tell from Bobby's reading, how many guidelines it covered.
This might have hit the record.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the meetings that we had, and also you listing the applicable guidelines and presenting your responses to them, because that not only helps justify the work that's proposed, but when applicants go through this kind of exercise, in general, they gain a greater understanding of the commission's review process and an appreciation for the historic features of the property. And I'm really grateful for the time spent in doing that. Thank you.
Yeah, and as I went through it, I thought this is like a case study of windows, the roof material. I mean, I'm sorry to go for the applicant, but you'll understand that every single aspect of what we review is in this application, and it was all well done. So thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, I have to accept into the record the three things that Tammy sent me earlier today. I think it was the original application, the staff report, and then I can't remember the third item, Tammy. And I should also ask, did anyone visit the site in the last, anyone visit the site?
Yeah.
You did?
But
Wow.
Just the front.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're gonna go to jail because you've been violating the law.
If anybody on Cumberland Court says there was some strange lady trying to see past the buildings to the Prince
Yeah.
George Street side, that was me.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
All right. I think we have no pre-applications tonight. And there's no any other administrative business. I'd like to just say that we don't know what's going to happen for the administrative meeting in late April. I would like to continue the momentum on the rules of procedure, but I don't want to force that issue. It's not a big deal. We don't have to accept public input, but I'd like to understand if any of you would think maybe get together in 2 weeks and talk about that again in an administrative meeting, or just wait until May or when we can meet in person.
Either way, I mean, I don't know. Does anybody have strong feelings about it? Yeah. Well, Roberta?
Say that there might be some, there's one application for the May public hearing, and there may be a second. And there might be a couple of pre-apps. So these are kind of not decided yet. But if you added rules of procedure to that, that might be a lot.
No, I was thinking of the administrative meeting for
Okay.
April.
Thursday.
And I guess there's, my thoughts are, there are really only two issues on the rules of procedure. One having to do with the concept of number of square feet that were, maintenance versus repair, and that square foot issue. And the other in our ability to, the other one, there are two issues. Frankly, I'd like just to have another conversation. We don't have to have a vote, but I'd like, I don't know, we've been going on for 2 years about the rules of procedure, so I just would think, let's have another conversation about those 2 points. So if you are willing to get together in another 2 weeks, just to have a administrative meeting, just to talk about the rules of procedure to keep.
Actually, it's next Thursday.
It's a week from Thursday.
Yeah, it's next Thursday.
One of those months where they line up the way so that we have it 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
I'm
I
okay.
don't want a whole lot else, so
Yeah.
I'm perfectly willing.
I am too, and I think we need to have discussion about those 2 items. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Thank you. Yeah. Then I'll tee it up. Yeah, as you know, I've been working on this for 2 years. So I'll tee up those. It's really only 2 points that are left, and so we can have a conversation in 2 weeks, and I'll check to see. It can be public, but if you tune into this, you just have exhausted all other possibilities of tuning in to anything. So, okay, thanks then. We'll do that. We'll have an administrative meeting in 2 weeks, and rules of procedure.
1 week.
Only thing.
1 week, Tim.
1
1
week.
week.
1 week.
10 days.
Yes,
I am losing track of time.
I think we all are.
Yeah, definitely. All blurring
So
together.
on that note, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And I didn't say this at the beginning. How are you? How's everybody doing?